my name is Jennifer Murillo, and today I'm going to be talking about the keto diet. I'm going to go through some of the history and science behind it and how to implement it into your lifestyle easily and affordably. So we all know that everybody's always thinking about their diet. Most people want to lose a few pounds, but if I told you that you could eat a double bacon cheeseburger and still lose weight, and all you have to do is get rid of the bun, would you believe me? So it's actually true. And that's kind of one of the things a lot of people eat when they're doing the keto diet. So dieting's been around for thousands of years. The Greeks actually were the first people to realize that what we take into our bodies and what kind of activity we do or don't do affects our weight. The word diet actually comes from the Greek word dieta. So the first documented low-carb diet was in about 150 years ago in the late 1800s by a man named William Banting. His doctor told him, after trying all these different ways to lose weight, that if he would cut out butter, sugar, bread, beer, and potatoes, that he would feel better and probably lose weight, and he ended up losing 60 pounds in a year. So that's like the first documented low-carb diet that helped someone in weight loss. We're going to fast forward to the 1920s, which is the first documented actual keto diet, which was actually surprisingly came about with doctors with their epilepsy patients, because they found that when epilepsy patients fasted, they had 50 to 90% less seizures. But you can't fast forever. So when they experimented with the different foods they ate, they found that when they ate a low-carb, high-fat protein diet, that it would keep the body tricked into thinking it was still fasting. One of the offshoots of that was that it also aided in weight loss. So Dr. Peterman at the Mayo Clinic came up with the ratio. If you eat 4 to 1, your fats to your protein and carbs, 90% of your calories coming from fat. That's like the first documented classic keto formula that you would lose weight. So over the years, there's been controversy about the diet, but it's made it's a huge part of the weight loss industry now, the keto diet. So now we want to talk about the science behind it. Why does it work? It works because when your body is not taking in any carbs, you don't produce glucose, which is what your body uses for fuel. So when there's no glucose, your body will create ketones. The body burns a ton of fat to make those ketones. So you go into a state of like a fasting-like state, which is why it worked for the epilepsy patients. You burn tons of fat while you're still taking in food, and you're in like a ketosis state, which is where keto diet comes from. So now that you guys have we've talked about the history and the science behind it, let's talk about how to implement it into your life. So it's not as hard as a lot of diets. There's a lot of different diets where you've got to take a pill or you've got to drink a shake. Well, in the keto, really, if you just stick to these type of foods, natural fats, proteins, your fish and seafood and meats, eggs, cheeses, full-fat cheeses, vegetables that grow above ground. If you stick to these kind of foods, this is the perfect foods for the keto diet. These are the foods that you want to avoid. Fruits, except for berries. Some berries you can have. Beer, potatoes, pasta, rice, all the white foods I save. Anything with flour, bread, obviously sugar. Those things are not part of the keto diet. So that's your basic formula, but if you want to get your specific macros, which is what Dr. Peterman came up with, you can find keto diets on keto calculators online that can figure out how many grams of proteins, how many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs you have each day. And that can help you stay on track. So it's pretty easy to shop, but if you're someone who doesn't like to cook, there are so many options now available. Low-carb desserts, low-carb ice cream, cauliflower pizza, cauliflower potatoes, cauliflower rice. Cauliflower is the big one in keto. So even if you're not someone who likes to cook, there are a lot of options available now because it's such a popular diet. So that's my presentation. I'm going to be starting this diet in about a week, so I encourage all of you to try it with me, and Thank you for your time. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
I have a question about like below ground foods.
Okay.
How does it differ per se?
It's mainly root vegetables. Root vegetables are high in starches, which is a type of carb. So carrots, potatoes, turnips. I'm sure there's others, but and corn is one. Just even though it's above ground, it's very, very high in sugar. So you want to stay away from corn, potatoes, carrots. You want to stick with green vegetables. Usually the vegetables that are green are all grown above ground.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. What other natural fats can you give examples of?
It's just anything that's cold pressed that's made like naturally. So like vegetable oils and canola oils aren't great because they're brought to a really, really super high heat to create them. So you want to stick with fats that come naturally. Avocado is naturally high in fat. Coconuts are naturally high in fat, so coconut oil, obviously olive oil, butter, but even lard. Some people who are real big meat people use a lot of lard in keto diets. Animal fat is not the bad thing that people used to think it was. It's not really. It's a natural fat. So, anybody else?
Yeah, I have one. On your slide, you said you have to cut out alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read other places where you're allowed to have wine on this diet as well. Is there like conflicting?
It's
stuff
not
like
really that it's conflicting. Beer is high in carbs. Now there's some out, like there's an Ultra Michelob, I think that's like 1 carb per serving.
Right.
So if that can stay within, like they suggest no alcohol, especially at the beginning of keto, but once you get into middle phases or maintaining phases. Another thing is, it's not something I would do on a daily thing, but like if I was going out to a special dinner during like a keto phase, stick to like full liquors.
Okay.
So like vodka, bourbon, whiskey, rum, you know, if they're not flavored or sweetened, they don't have any carbs.
Okay.
So if you do that with like over ice on the rocks
Right.
or with a diet drink,
Okay.
there's not going to be any carbs in that.
Okay.
So online there's so many program apps you can download or online things that you can just search in a minute to find the carb content of almost anything.
Okay.
So it makes it really easy. Thank you guys.